wherever there are and jump in, whoever needs help. So, but, in general, I think we all wear like multiple hats, and we have a great community that is going through explosive growth. So we're really excited about that.
So how do you know Arsh, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And, one of the things is really important to us is transparency and openness. And Arsh and I are related. He's actually my nephew. And so, there's a lot of history there, obviously, from family. But beyond that, I think we're very professional as well. And I think that we each see each other, as an individual who has, certain superpowers. And together, I think that, collectively, that we feel like, we not only can create something awesome in this space, but also, take care of our people and make an impact to people's lives.
That's amazing. I just wanted to go ahead and say that Daryl has messaged me, and this is, I think he's known as Terror Zone, and there's a chance that he will be able to pop in. I do believe that he is listening. So I just wanted to throw that out there, or hopefully he'll be able to pop in later. I know you guys started this project because you saw what was out there and you felt that you could improve on the space. This question is for Arsh. What is the biggest improvement that 100 Days Project is making in the space?
So to break that question down a little bit, it's kind of identifying is what works in crypto and kind of what doesn't in a very wholesale perspective. In crypto, the downfall of a lot of projects, in my opinion, is that they're centered on one point and one economic scale. Whether you look at something like the OWN, Time, Klima, all of those, they had one fail-safe point. They created one product. It was a great product at the time, but as time evolved, things happened. That product hype died down. It was a hype-driven market. But the issue with that is you're based on one thing. You have one fail-safe point. So for us, is this whole ecosystem narrative. Let's not have one project be an end-all, be-all. Let's create a manufacturing thing of several products, lead it from our basis, grow it at Harvard, be it Princeton, and these people who are interested in the space, bring them full scale, but make it so we have several products that all support each other and all work in a harmonious relationship to make sure that each product is hitting whatever it needs to hit to really bring the end result of a great product here.
Thank you for that. Tell us something that you've learned about the process of starting this company and launching the project. And this question is for both of you or either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So where do I start on this one? So let me unpack this a little bit. For me, crypto moves at 1,000 miles an hour. 24-hour in crypto world is 30 days in the traditional world, at least from my sense. And I think many of you will agree to that. The need for innovation is not only good to have in this world, but an absolute need for survival. Just things move so quickly that you just can't just sit there and wait. There are a lot of anonymous people and entities in this space. So trust is a very, very, very scarce here. So functioning in the gray is business as usual in the crypto world, right? So, but however, where I find, the similarities are the business principles are more or less the same. Attracting top talent, recruitment, product development, understanding operations, sales, marketing, development, HR, how all of those need to function in harmony collectively just to produce something amazing for our community is just a key to survival here, right? So I've built several startups, right? And I've hired, great talent. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies such as Disney and T-Mobile, Microsoft, to name a few here. And the key role of leading top talent, delivering amazing projects, that I've done, throughout. And all this I get, an opportunity to apply here to build something amazing, for our community. And the reason I say keep on, saying for our community, because I feel like everything that we do has to be centered to our community, right? We have to take care of our people, and if we take care of our people, everybody takes care of us. So it's really important to win, our people's trust, for something greater. And that is, part of our biggest, thought process and the way we do things. So I'm putting, pretty much, as they say, all my mouth, or my money where my mouth is here.
Yeah.
And this is what excites me, as I wake up every day.
Well, one of my favorite memes in this space is the "we're all going to make it" meme. And I think a lot about that. And I've come to the conclusion that the most important thing is that DeFi continues to grow as a whole. Every time that I see a rug, I imagine the space contracting a little bit. That's one of the reasons why I was so attracted to 100 Days Project, because you guys are as doxed as it gets. You're real people, and your face is on the project. What is the 100 Days Project doing to bring more people into DeFi and grow the space as a whole?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and this is a great question. So there are a few things here, right? And let me just share a few here. Number one is we all have, and when I say we all, the team here of 100 Days has real-world experience working with Fortune 500 companies, as well as building our own businesses. And we have a big network, and that we are bringing into the DeFi space. And I think, like you mentioned earlier, it is really important, to bring that credibility, that trust, and into the space so that real innovation can happen. And really, truly, from a much larger perspective, it takes care of everyone, right? That's where the world is moving towards. Like the people, powered back to the people, removing the middleman. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? And how we do that in a way where it's meaningful, right? It's impactful, and it makes a difference in people's lives. Number two is also, as part of this ecosystem that we're building, we're intentionally building sort of a Y Combinator as part of that. What does that mean? That means that we're going to leverage, as Ursh mentioned earlier, right, our Princeton, Harvard, kind of universities, networks there to nurture young minds to develop ideas, provide them the expertise and the networks needed to launch and make, cool products that change people's lives, right? And that is really, really important, as part of the journey here. So there's dual benefits here. So if you think about it, right, one is we get to bring trusted and well-qualified talent into the DeFi space. Again, that's what it's all about. It's really important, right? And two, as part of that, the percentage of revenue from what they build feeds into our ecosystem. And further, that substantiate our core product, which is also this product that we're launching, Auto Staking Protocol. So it's really, really holistically, collectively, we're thinking about everything.
That's a great answer, and I love what you said about education. I love the idea of bringing people in and up. Talented people can get a start in DeFi and in crypto like nowhere else in the world or in history, I don't think, because you can do this from home, you can do this online, you can do this at any age, you can do this no matter what country you're from. So that's what still excites me about crypto. And I've been in crypto for many years. I think probably the people on this stage, we probably have 50, 60 years in crypto. Arsh, if you could answer this next question, what still excites you about crypto?
That's such a layered question for me. I mean, where do I begin? But I guess the first thing, what really incites me is the pace. I really like the pace of the digital world here. To me, what makes me the most bullish on crypto above all, it is one part is the digital world, but one is I like to see where the talent is going. When you're the best developers, you're the best talent at this, you're the best at that, where are you going to hone those talents? Where are you going to emerge the new age of innovation? And to me, that has been crypto, and we can see that over the last couple of years here. So for me, is when all the talent is going to this space and innovating in this space, that's truly what excites me most. But that's only one aspect. The other aspect is the digital world itself and the direction we're taking, right? The metaverse and all of that stuff. I think we're still some time out from that, but I think that process is starting, and we all see it. Is every year, if you look at the analytics of where are the amount of Bitcoin holders on a year-by-year basis, or just crypto holders in general, and you see an exponential growth there. And whether the price reflects this or that or the other thing, you see that there is an interest and there's a larger growth through every year. I mean, this year, you see Staples Center, an iconic stadium in America here that really symbolized so much. And when it got rebranded to crypto.com, that's a massive thing for a big audience here. And I think as we're seeing that all across the board, and that's just one example of how this digital world is kind of taking over little parts everywhere.
Oh, it's growing. I don't think even a year ago people would have said, that you were going to see crypto.com plastered front and center at the Super Bowl. That's how fast this thing moves. When you said metaverse, I started thinking about something that I read in your Git book, where you guys mentioned aspirations to build a P2E game. I would say most of the members here at Fear versus Greed are interested in play-to-earn games, or just, I would say, GameFi in general. I wouldn't even lock us into play-to-earn. I love this idea, and I want you to tell me, what are your most exciting GameFi ideas?
Sure. And just to be honest about our roadmap is, there are quite a few things that we're looking at doing before we kind of get to that stuff, but that is certainly a part that we're working towards. But what really interests me about gamification in general is, what does that really, how do you break that down? How do you make it in a space where truly everyone wins? Because what gamification is, you look at the bigger projects doing it and all of that fun stuff, it's always they're approaching it, but it's the aspect of a passive income from a game is so different. It's not conventional. People almost look at it as a 9 to 5 where you can make X amount of money and do X amount of things there. So us is really manufacturing two efforts there. One is, if we're going to take that route, let's be very engineered about it. Let's have it be fun. If it's a game, treat it like a game, but make it so there's an intriguing factor where really you can hone the audience, make it so everyone can win in a sense, and winning can be broken down different ways. One is monetarily, and one is by it serves a purpose. There's an educational aspect to it. There's a fun aspect to it. So I guess the direction that we're trying to take is 3 phases. One is, let's have a passive income aspect. Let's have a fun aspect. And most importantly, let's also educate in everything and anything we're doing. But a lot more details will come on that over time. But right now, we're really in the early phase for that one there.
Oh, I understand. Before that, you're going to have the NFT marketplace, and then I think in between, you're looking at the Astro NFT Bank. Is that correct?
Yes, so both of those are very closely related.
Can you go ahead and break down the difference and what they are, and try to relate it to the fact that most of my members have some kind of NFTs? I mean, some of these are like from the project universe. Some of them are from GameFi. Would the Astro Bank and the NFT marketplace, would that serve us in any way? Would it bring value to people like us?
Absolutely. So kind of breaking down is what is the Astro Bank itself? So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Anchor Protocol. It's a protocol that essentially rewards stablecoins, right? You put in your stablecoins, you get 20% APY. But it's the ideal of what is true passive income. And what does that really mean? It's the dependable income that you know will occur. It's not based on a token or based on anything else. Truly is an inherent dollar value to it. And that's what our Astro Bank is looking to achieve. The way that we're working to provide some insight there, because I know we haven't really spoken on that feature. The way the Astro Bank will truly work is there will be a locking period. You will take your Astro tokens, put it into the Astro Bank. And now with the Astro Bank, you can lock your tokens from anywhere from 48 hours all the way to 2 years. But the way it works is dependent on the amount of your Astro tokens, the total LP of our tokens in supply there, whatever that ratio equivocates to, there will be a certain amount of stablecoin rewards you will receive and USDC. So essentially, even breaking that down further is, once you deposit your tokens, you'll get an NFT to represent those tokens. Those tokens will be burned, and whatever that, on our distribution side, whenever there's a sale order, 2% of any revenue that's generated from that will go to this line of NFTs. And dependent on how many tokens you put into your NFT there, that will depend on how much of that 2% each user receives. But the whole incentive here is to have an NFT mechanic that helps the protocol in terms of burning tokens. More importantly, is providing true passive income in stablecoins that one can depend on. The ones a user will always know is, I would generate XYZ. But not only that is, there's no fluctuation there. It's a dollar is a dollar there. And that's what's really the core feature there. But relating that back to the NFT marketplaces, and these are why these two products are very closely tied, is the NFT itself. We have some mechanics around that. But an NFT marketplace is something that it exists everywhere, right? It's not a new product. But anything we do, we look to innovate, do something different with it. And our NFT marketplace will be a reflection of that. What we really want to do is really break the barriers of how an NFT marketplace works, how an artist can do well, how a user can do well, and how the creator can do well. And really make this harmonious. So even with our Astro Bank NFT line, we really want to lean on artists and work with artists in the space to help them grow out their profile. And with that, we'll have some artists, academies, and things like that, because education is really important to us. But our marketplace will be reflective of that. We'll have different mechanics there where you can we'll have a core contract and be able to auto-stake against it, which is very complex. So I'm not going to get into it exactly right now, because until that's totally defined, I don't want to give any misinformation. But we will have some aspects where you can stake against contracts, and that's really never been done in the NFT marketplace space.
I want to know more. I want to ask you about it right now. I just want to say thank you for the audience who is here and for everybody who's participating in the chat room. And I want to break down what's going to happen next so that everybody can be ready. So I've got a couple more questions for the team. And after that, I'm going to let Shoguns, who is one of the team members here at Fear vs. Greed, he has some questions. And while he's doing that, I'm going to gather up the questions from the chat room. So all of you listening, if you have questions that haven't been asked yet, now would be a great time. Okay, so just to summarize, I got a couple more questions, then Shogun is going to take the stage. After that, Omar is going to ask one or two questions. We will do the audience questions. Does that sound good to everybody?
Sounds fantastic. And thank you guys again for hosting us, as well as thanks to all these audience members for being here. And we truly, any question you have or any clarification you'd like, ask away. We really are here to answer any and all questions. Thank you.
So tell me what you're going to be working on immediately after the NFT marketplace launches. And I know we talked about the Astro NFT Bank, but those are so closely related that I think I'm talking about directly after the NFT Bank launches.
Sure. So as you said, those two things, the NFT marketplace as well as the Astro Bank, are so closely related. But after that is kind of the smart bonding aspect and doing some different things with the way liquidity is managed, right? Is you have some opportunity with the way the tokenomics are structured. If you pay attention to our tokenomics, we have purposely locked up 29% of our total supply to an ecosystem fold. Now, what that is really used to leverage the other protocols we plan to make. Because our true plan is, let's take this product, this auto-staking product, innovate, do some really cool different things, but get it there relatively quickly. Because we also don't want to spend a lot of time kind of creating it and doing all of these different things when the core focus gets lost. So really is, let's innovate on this product. Let's spend a lot of time here at first, nature this and build it up to a great beast. But from there is, let's use this ecosystem fault aspect to start going into our other aspects of other projects that we have. From our development standpoint, we actually have other mechanics and other protocols, a second protocol that's ready to roll, that as well as a lot of these features are kind of inbuilt already, but we purposely have staggered it in such a way to make sure that everything is above board, because security and things like that are extremely important to us, and we want thorough testing, especially on some of the complexities of some of these features. So just to kind of go back to the question here, right after the Astro Bank will be our NFT marketplace. Right after that, we will be doing some things with the smart bonding as well as cross liquidity. And from there, the big thing is our next ecosystem project, as well as another NFT line. And both of those will be quite different than what we're used to seeing in the crypto space.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and invite Shoguns to the stage. Let's see. Shoguns, can you unmute yourself and go ahead and test your mic? And while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and unmute Omar. Omar, can you test your mic as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Omar. We'll give Shoguns another minute, and if he doesn't, I know he's there. I know he's trying, but if after a minute it's not unmuted, we'll shuffle Omar in.
Sounds great.
I just want to give him a few more seconds. Okay. Go ahead, Omar, if you're ready.
I'm here.
Go ahead, take over, take the stage.
All right. Okay, so now it's better. I'm sorry for the...
I'm not sure if it's on my side, but I'm not able to hear Omar here.
I'm also not able to hear him. I think that we just need to be patient for another minute. Either Shoguns or Omar will take over directly. Shoguns, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
I can hear you. Can you guys hear Shoguns okay?
I can hear you very faintly, but I can hear you.
Okay. Is it better now?
It is a bit better now, yes.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I also thank the 100 Days team. I'm super excited by the way they have their activities lined up, the roadmap, and their white paper. I've gone through the white paper severally, and I have a few questions to ask. My main concern is around sustainability of the platform, and I'm happy when you raised the Anchor Protocol project that pays about 19.6% APR. And also, if you read articles, if you read around, everybody's concern is around, is this sustainable? So, as a project, what are you doing differently to ensure that your project or the service is sustainable, even though it is understandable that you endorsed KYC and all that, and you have genuine intentions. But how do you ensure that the investors' funds are safe? I dipped into red light district a while ago because the APR says I will get my money back in 20 days. But I'm there for almost 60 days now, and they keep introducing some funny measures. They charge 50% withdrawal tax and all that. So essentially, for most investors, the main concern is around sustainability and the ability to hold on to your promise. So how are you tackling this differently, or what are you doing to ensure you're going to be around for a while or for a long time?
First off, I want to say I really appreciate your question, because that truly is the critical question: is what does sustainability mean to us, and what does it mean in this space? But to really take a step back, and what differentiates our sustainability versus any other projects is understanding what sustainability means in the terms of our tokenomics. So our sustainability is based on the tokenomics itself, where there's a generation aspect to this. Sustainability here is the aspect of is financially is how are you stable, but on the APY side, it is not a question of are you sustainable because of the financial model behind it. Rather, you are sustainable because the tokenomics are crafted in such a way where that is the set APY, as long as you're hitting benchmarks. But that is truly the set APY. But the real question here is, how are you sustainable financially? How is the money going to keep coming in, and how will that really work? And that's the core question here. And to answer that question itself is to not have one fail-safe point. You look at Titano, Libero, or any of these other projects that have similar takes in this space that use this reflection aspect and have different takes on how they work it, but are all the baseline of a reflections protocol. But the way they work is their only income is on the taxation side. They have some coming from the investments itself, but the core income is from the taxation side. And that's where we want to be multi-layered. Yes, taxation has to exist in a certain way. And the way that exists is there's also ways where everyone comes out from top there. And education of profitability and things like that will be a huge inherent to us. And on our DApp itself, we'll have a section of really how to take profits in our protocol in a way where it works out for everyone and truly everyone wins. But on the financial side is, so there's the tax aspect that's revenue generating. There's the treasury aspect. Now, treasury can be managed a lot of ways, right? You can go your Bitcoin ETH or your blue chips. You can go as crazy as DeFi and really take some riskier approaches where you could hit zero, but you could make 100x. The baseline is nonetheless is very extensive here. But our approach is let's do more than just that on a treasury standpoint. Let's do blue chip. Let's do DeFi. Let's do both of those, but let's do more than that. Let's do things. Let's partner with protocols. Let's engineer protocols. Let's get into them from the ground level. Our incubator, right, is let's produce other protocols from an investment standpoint, be it very clear and be it showing to the audience here and on our DApp itself as to what are the investments going to and having them be where such a way where you're not just betting on an ideology, you're betting on a structure, you're betting on people. There's more to that. And we're going to ground floor certain protocols and invest in them and hold equity in them, where we really rise with the right tide of people, being KYC, being all of that. You have the access to associate yourself with good and bad people. And we really will pick very careful projects, but invest in them and nurture in them and grow with them and support them to all be in equilibrium with each other. But that's just the core aspects. There's so much more there. In terms of our NFT marketplace, the way that's structured, any revenue from that is not going to line our pockets. Any revenue generated from there is going to the baseline of this protocol, supporting that raised floor price, making that truly as high as possible. And the NFT marketplace is just a start. Even with the way the marketplace will work inherently, any buy-sells of NFTs, that revenue generated, that's going to go here. But further, we have another product, our own take on the Titano play aspect. We'll have an internal and external version of that And we'll have to have another AMA to get into detail on that one, because we're trying to keep that close to our vest for now. But as well as theirs will have that profitability. But these things that I've highlighted here, these are just the things that will be happening in the first 60 days. I mean, we have such an extensive roadmap, and we don't want to allude to too much where other people in this space baseline that idea and go for it. So we really are keeping that very tightly. But you will see in the first 90 days and really the first 100 days, the core principle of our project is there will be a lot more revenue streams than just the apparent three. We'll have other protocols really feeding into that batch price and really helping with the financial stability, and not just the tokenomics aspect that will hit a benchmark every time.
Awesome. Still talking around sustainability. In your white paper, I noticed that there's no cap on the Astro that will be in circulation. Do you want to shed more light on this?
Could you say that one more time? I couldn't hear you clearly there.
Said in your white paper, it says that there's no cap on the number of Astros that is going to be in circulation, Astro tokens. So do you want to explain why you don't have a cap on the number of Astro tokens you have?
Certainly, yeah. So this kind of goes back to how I broke it down with this financial stability versus tokenomic stability. And the way that you hit the percentage of that, the 1.91% DPR daily, is on the tokenomics, there was an exponential decay rate. And you're going to hit those baselines every day, and they will always hit. And that's why sustainability to me is on the financial side and not the tokenomic side. Contractually, those numbers will hit every day, all the time. And because that's how the APY is sustainable, because those numbers are always hitting itself. And because of that, on a stability standpoint of the APY, it fits to that rate to always hit that benchmark. But really, no one is getting that unless you're truly just buying it and holding it for 365 days. And really, that doesn't happen because even internal of our protocol, we're going to have profit-taking strategies for everyone to win. As I highlighted, is the education aspect to that. But on a baseline, that will always happen. That's how the contract is written.
So let me piggyback on that. If I have a node on 100 days, and at some point I start to gain tokens, obviously I will be selling these tokens. If I'm selling these tokens, it's going to increase the sell pressure, and in a way, it's going to reduce the value of the token. So if there's no cap, how do you manage this continuous flow of Astro onto the platform since there's no cap? I want you to clearly explain that.
Sorry, Shogun, one more time. You were breaking out again there. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, okay, sorry. Let me come again. Once I create a node and I start to get my rewards on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or hourly basis, then it will increase the sell pressure. Now, if I'm selling my tokens and the platform or the project is also introducing more tokens onto the treasury, I believe that will reduce the value of the token. So how are you practically going to handle that?
Sure, so that's a great question, is the sellability aspect to it. First off, to clarify one thing there is, we are not a node project, we are an auto-staking project. So with that comes is there will be a rebase every 30 minutes, 48 times a day, and that after the 48 times a day, with the stacking ability of it, you'll hit a 1.91% DPR daily. But breaking down your question further is, isn't the price diluting it? Isn't there an inherent sell pressure if you're rebasing every 30 minutes? And this is where the sell taxes exist in a certain way. Everyone hears these extensive sell taxes and thinks to themselves, how can you win if you're hitting this? I'm losing X percentage when I get in, and when I sell, I'm losing X percentage. If that percentage is so great, how do I win in this system, right? And how does that really work? And the reason those exist is for the exact reason, the sellability. Because inherently, if people continue to sell and the buying is not there, your token will go down. That's very basic. But is how do you sustain that? And the aspect of that is, one is, if there's this inflow of selling, is the game theory mechanic to this all. When people are selling, the users that are holding are generating from that. On the sell side, every single time there's a sell, there's an aspect that's earned. there's always a reduction in a burn every single time, but also is that's getting spread out. It's not just hitting one benchmark and going. Is every time there's a sell, there's money going to the treasury. There's money that's getting burned. It's not hitting one place. There's some going to a risk-free value. That's a baseline thing that has your backed price there. But even further than that is what I talked about earlier, is having other revenue streams that support it to really push it up there.
Okay, awesome. So I have two more questions. The next one is, I saw in the white paper also that you're yet to audit, or you're planning to audit your codes on your platform very soon. So how do you intend to handle the introduction of tokens? Will it be done before the audit, or it will be done after the audit?
Sure, so that's a great question as well, because there's one thing about the crypto space that's more important than all else, is security and transparency. Security and transparency are critical in this space, and they have to be taken very seriously. So for us, it's really having a three-phased approach. One aspect is our team is very highly experienced, so let's have an internal audit. The internal audit sets the stages internally. We have a cutoff deadline on our code, and at that deadline, our code will be audited and reviewed internally. Now, after that aspect is done, we will have a community audit, where we really hire some people here to go through our code extensively and see where are the vulnerabilities, what does that look like, and how can you scale out that testing. There's functional testing, there's non-functional testing, there's load management, there's risk assurance. There's a lot of steps here, but making sure we cover all of our bases internally, then again on the community side. And the third layer here is using someone like Certec with the high reputation that they have to really make sure the code is secure. And even the fourth step further than that is, let's use something like a Skynet to monitor our code 24/7 and really make sure in the coding aspect that our code is truly as secure as possible in every aspect. Because security is above all. You'd have a great product, but if it's not secure from a team perspective, and more importantly, a contract perspective, everything else doesn't matter here.
I'm delighted with your approach to transparency. So my last question. I see that the project will have NFT marketplace. The project will have ability to sell. Invested in Unif.money, Universe. I think you should be aware of them. And they are gradually decaying as we speak, mainly because if I have a planet, which is like their node, I will sell it on an NFT marketplace in AVAX. Now, if I'm selling in AVAX, that means there's no buy pressure. After some couple of days and I start to see my returns, then I need to sell to recoup my investment. That puts a lot of sell pressure on the platform, and that reduces buy pressure because AVAX is the currency for trading the nodes or the NFTs. So what is going to be the native currency for selling my NFT or transferring my NFT to a friend or another person on your platform? And that will be my last question.
Sure. First off, I really appreciate your questions. I really think you asked some core questions. Sustainability, security, all of these things are quintessential pieces. Without it, no product can be valuable. So first off, thank you for the time there. Now, to answer your question here is, what is the native token here? Is the aspect of our core ecosystem token that will be cross-platform as well as cross-chain, and will have incentives in our other protocols where it'll have utility in terms of if you have an Astro NFT or an Astro token or whatever that scale will be, that there is inherent, I want to say, almost like a reward structure, but not truly a reward structure, but an incentive structure where if you hold us on one aspect, all of our other protocols, you'll have a benefit for holding us in the core protocol here. But as far as the NFT itself there and how would that work exactly in the nomenclature there, I don't truly want to define that right now because there's a couple approaches that we have here. We're going through two core approaches, and we're really dialing into them and running some modeling behind both to see what is the best route to take there. So I don't want to inherently answer that right now to give misinformation if we choose the second route here. But I do appreciate that question. And I think essentially is looking at UNIV there. I think they have some aspects that really worked and some aspects that really didn't. Is knowing the way that a node project works is not, if you can have a 100-day ROI, for instance, Strawn block, you get 0.0916 Strawn a day. And it takes about 110 days to recoup your 10 Strawn to make one node. But if the price of Strawn dilutes, well, you could get after 110 days all your tokens back, but nothing matters because the price of Strawn is no longer the same. So inherently, you're not getting the dollar for dollar value there. And our NFTs will certainly be reflective of this, where not only are you just going to put in your money and then you can get the same amount of tokens back or whatever that will look like back, but you will be getting USDC in dollars to make sure you truly get dollar for dollar back. Truly that it is whatever the equilibrium is there, it hits it on a dollar scale rather than a token scale.
Thank you so much for those questions, Shoguns. Did you want to respond to that real quick?
Hello?
Yes.
No, I'm fine.
Omar, did you want to take the stage?
Thank you, Shogun, for those questions.
Yes, those are great questions. Thank you. Let me just, it's my fault. Okay, Omar.
Yeah. So if you were an investor, right, what will you consider, what are the top benefits of this project versus the others, right? I've heard a lot of good questions here. Shogun's really asking really good questions. I was going to ask more like the same. So in the end game, what will you say differentiate the most from other projects?
To me, the core thing above all is the trust and transparency aspect. That you can believe that no matter what happens, the success rate looks like what it does, but that there is always someone to be held accountable. There is no rug pull aspect. No matter what happens, we would not steal your money. That would never be a problem with us. As well as the aspect on security side is that we are taking every single level of protection possible to ensure that we truly are as secure as possible. To me, that's the baseline to expand anywhere else. But truly, from our protocol aspect and putting myself in the shoes of an investor, what intrigues me the most is that there is not one fail-safe point. That you begin your journey in this auto-staking protocol, then you have something like the Astro Bank. And after that, shortly after there, you have other protocols to invest in, all inherently backing each other and all supporting each other, where if you're in one, you have intrinsic benefits being in the others. To me, that's the biggest thing, is because hypes and whatever it is only last so long unless there's a backing to it and a bigger vision for what it could become. Having true utility, having true financial stability, things like that to me are what matter above all. And that's where I had, is that figuring out those big problems rather than trying to figure out those little things that may drive the impact, but not paying attention to how are you financially stable? How are you really innovating beyond just one project? How are you supporting it? And things of that nature, to me, is our aspect of the ecosystem and bringing in the most powerful minds into this space and all in collaboration of each other. To me, that's the most quintessential piece of our project.
Yeah, that's...
You broke up there, Omar. Could you repeat that?
No, it was perfect. Thank you a lot.
Okay, wonderful. Let's take... Sush has his hand up. I'm going to go ahead and call on him. In the meantime, Sush, if you get this, there he is.
Hey guys, okay, you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, glad to see the whole team. Hey, Harsh. So glad to see the whole team being dogs, right? So that's a plus point, right? So I have got three questions on three categories. So first I'll start with the taxes, right? So over here, when I was reading through your white paper, right? So you got a buy fee breakdown and the transfer or the sell fee breakdown. So there I see a minimum 10% and maximum 20%. And similarly for the sell, there's a minimum of 20 and maximum 35. So what does that derive to? So is it something like a dynamic tax?
Sure. So what that range is from our contract side. For instance, as I mentioned, is there's the core project, which this whole reflection aspect came from was Titano. And a vulnerability on their contract was, on the development side, the developer could go ahead and make the buy and sell tax 100% and essentially end everything. So for us, is on a dynamic scale, is let's keep everything in range where there's no vulnerabilities in that.
Okay.
But the way these taxes will work is they are not dynamic. They're in the sense that we would change them in certain points and that would make them a dynamic range. But the way we also have that spelled out is before any change occurs, there is a 48-hour warning to our investors on Twitter, on Discord, on our DApp, as well as other things that we will have here to really send that message across to our investors. But at the core thing here, the basis of this is, suppose in times like when we pre-sale, when we launch, those times where there is a large inflow and a large outflow, how do you maximize that from a treasury standpoint? How do you protect the protocol from not going too high too quickly or too low too quickly? Because both extremes are really bad. And how you control that is, at first there you have a higher sell tax. You keep it as high as maybe even 30%. 35 is we're really never going to hit that point. But we might touch 30 at some points. And the reason for that is, let's use this initial volatility period to really benefit that treasury there and grow that out at those core times of volatility. So that's really why we have the dynamic ranges on the contract side, as well as in certain times of chaos where we have big news or there's this huge event happening, the crypto market is going up like crazy or going down. We use these things that are going on in the space to maximize our treasury to help the protocol be as healthy as possible. That's the focus with that.
Okay, got it. So during the launch, so then the minimum would be 10, and during the launch, you're planning to have the sell tax is higher so that there is no kind of an initial dump, right? So is that the strategy?
So on the pre-sale side, there is no buy tax. That's the inherent aspect of the beneficiarity of buying in a pre-sale. We would not have any buy tax on the pre-sale. But in terms of when the protocol launches itself, we will be having a higher tax range for there. And we will have that for a set defined period and have an exact date where we will change it. And all of that will be made clear to our investors at least 48 hours in advance, if not longer.
Okay. And my next question would be more on the pre-sale side, right? So over here, you said there will be no whitelisting and all those stuff. Right. So will this be launched on a Pink Sale or something like that platform, or will it be on your native DApp?
Sure. So on our native DApp is where this pre-sale will be held on April 15th. The reason that we do not have a whitelist is kind of, what does a whitelist create? A whitelist creates a lot of hype, which is great, but what it also creates is it takes people and gives inherent advantages of other people. It's not a true fair aspect to it, because it really is who has the most time to go and grind this on Discord and hit this benchmark and do that. It's not fair to just anyone and everyone. And that's why we don't have a whitelist.
I agree on that, yeah. And how about the purchase limit here? So because over here I see from 500 to 1,000. So is it something like minimum is 500 and max is 1,000? And do you have, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great question as well, is why do we have that range? And the reason for that range is we really want to prevent anyone from having too much control of the protocol. So because of that, we have the range of a $500 minimum and a $1,000 maximum. That way, this pre-sale is spread amongst the most amount of wallets possible.
And does that mean the hard cap is 1 mil there? So 1,050,000, which I see here the max funding able to raise is 1 mil, right? So something like if we go with 1,000 per head, so there'll be 1,000 investors at the max, right?
Exactly. So the hard cap is 1.050 million. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And my next question would be more towards the marketing, right? So because over here, the protocol will grow when you have got a great community altogether, right? So what would be your strategy towards the marketing? Because so the main reason for the whitelisting to go and create the hype was to how people get invited, and so people will be knowing more about this particular protocol, right? So what would be your marketing strategy there? So are you planning to have any partnership or any other things in your roadmap?
Absolutely. So let's break that down. What is our marketing strategy? We have a 3-phased approach. Right now, let's throw out our Discord. And for us, and something that I'm really proud of is if you look at our Discord and you're on any kind of bot stands or anything like that, there's less than 10 bots. And we really, any that are there, we're getting rid of them right away. But our community is truly organic, real people that are really interested in this space. It's not just people to have people. They're people that are really interested in this space. So that's something I'm really proud of on the Discord side. But for us, is growing the Discord, then really having a Twitter push, and then having a YouTube push. But in terms of partnerships and other things there, we have some things in the work there, but nothing that I would be able to announce here today. We really are having a focus there to drive it the right way, but creating hype the right way, and doing that in a fair way for everyone, but still generates the hype that's essential here.
That's great, Ash. Yeah, thank you for answering all the questions, and good to see you all in the digital picture, right? It seems so I can kind of visualize a team there behind the
Thank
protocol.
You.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that. You had some great questions. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sash. Thank you for coming on up. I see your hand up, Maverick, but Shoguns is going to come for one more question, and then I will get to you.
Hey guys. Can you hear me?
Hi, Shogun. I sure can.
Oh, great. I have one more question to piggyback on what on what Shoes was asking about. You said there's going to be no whitelist. And typically the reason for whitelist is the project needs funds to build the project or build the platform. So do you have a VC backing, or how are you building the platform at the moment? Because I'm also weary of whitelist because it creates superior investors and resulting into dump at launch. If you look at most graphs of Snodes or DAS or NAT projects, they dump at launch, typically 24 hours or 48 hours after launch. So my questions would be in two ways. The first one is, do you have something to cater for dumping at launch, or how do you raise funds to build the platform? Because the people that drop the funds to build the platform will definitely want some form of compensation or control over the platform.
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and answer the second part of your question first, is how on a funding aspect do we get here? And the answer to that is, again, is we have real world experience and have done things in the real world and have brought that here. Everything on a product side so far, as I alluded to, is on our roadmap from a development standpoint. Nearly everything you see there is done. It's just going through the audit approval. Some of it's more so 80% done, to be honest about it, but everything is about 80% done, if not more. So everything thus far on the development side has been completed and bootstrapped by my team here. We have afforded everything ourselves and kept everything in the fair way possible, is to have not having any VCs involved. And then that was the same theory with the whitelist, is if we're taking the approach of no VCs, we're bootstrapping ourselves. Let's keep ourselves fair in every aspect all around. So from that mechanic is the people that have invested in the protocol are ourselves here. There is no VC backing. There's none of that. We have bootstrapped ourselves. So that answers the second part of your question. Can you clarify the first part of your question for me one more time? I want to make sure I answer it correctly.
Yes. The first part is around dumping at launch. If you take money from whitelist or you take money from early investors or first-class investors, as we call them, then that means there's a high possibility of dumping at launch. So do you have a means of catering for this?
Perfect. Okay. I just wanted to get clarity there. Awesome. So the answer to that is we have two core things there. One is the reason that there's an inherent large amount of dumping is because the aspect pre-sale versus launch price are traditionally two very large range numbers with a large range in between. For us, our pre-sale and our launch price are 20% apart. There's only a 20% increase there. Now, we are aware of the way that we have it set up. It's not truly 20%, because on the buy side, you're avoiding all buy fees. So that truly makes it higher than 20% here. However, is the aspect that I was alluding to earlier, is one aspect is there is the inherent of there's not as large of a scale here. You're only increasing 20% plus the aspect of not having buy fees. So there's not no crazy 2x, 3x, or whatever, where you've made so much money that you want to offload it right away. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is, from our treasury standpoint, our tax standpoint, is taking advantage of that and making it so our protocol stays as healthy as possible. Knowing that everyone traditionally loves to dump at launch here, let's make it beneficial for the protocol. Let's make it at launch so we have about a 30% self-tax, where if these are these inherent dumps, the treasury is getting fueled by it, and the backed price of AstroToken continues to rise. Let's make it beneficiary for the protocol. So that's the core aspect. Is one side is there's not a high delta between pre-sale and launch, and the other aspect is on the tax side is keeping it well aware and making sure we get clear to our investors very clearly before, but having that defined so when those volatility arises on a buy or a sell side, that there is the inherent that volatility benefits the health of the protocol.
So if I understand you well, you have three mechanisms in place. First one is there's a buy tax. The second one is there's a small delta between the pre-sale value and the public sale value. The third one is going to be sale tax. But I assumed you said earlier that there was going to be no sale tax. Am I correct?
So you are correct on the first two aspects, but not on the sell tax side. There will be a sell tax, and that will be 30% or so at launch. Again, maybe not exactly 30%, whatever that is, that will be declared by us prior with a lot of time ahead to our investors and before there's any change. We're also aware of everyone 48 hours before on our Twitter, Discord, and DApp. However, there will be a sell tax, yes.
Throughout the lifetime of the project?
Yes. The range will be different throughout the long term of the protocol. However, there will always be a self-tax, yes.
Okay. One giveaway. What excites you the most about this project? Because you said it's going to be, you guys are bootstrapping. So what wakes you up in the morning? What excites you? What drives you?
What drives us is this space and how interesting and how educational and how we've dived in. And there's nothing but the inherent community aspect, the aspect of the best people in the world are in this space looking to create something different, how we're looking to change the financial world. I mean, I can go on and on here, but the core of all of this is I think Rohit would agree with this, is we both are really excited about the ecosystem and the incubator aspect, doing a Y Combinator, bringing the greatest minds in and innovating alongside them to really benefit the community. Because at the end of the day, none of this is possible without our investors. And that's who we do it for at the end of the day. So that's really what drives us, is all of that stuff. But at its core is creating a product for the community that really does change and fits a lot of the problems in this space and in the financial world itself, and really innovating there. I think that's what excites us the most here. That's what really drives us.
Thank you very much. You've answered my questions properly, as I would want them to answer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm going to bring Maverick up now. Maverick, are you ready?
Yes, it's good afternoon for my time zone.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, how's it going? Just got on your Discord last night and read your white paper and everything. Real excited for a team that's fully doxed. I'm a real fan of the auto staking protocols. I'm heavily invested in Sphere. And when I read your white paper, the one question that I have about it is, if you're paying the rebase out in a stable coin versus your native token, does that mean it's not going to auto compound, or will that be a feature that we'll be able to select?
Sorry, let me clarify that. Our auto staking is done in Astro token. The asset that's done in the stable token is the Astro Bank feature, but that is not the auto staking mechanic. The auto staking is an Astro token.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something where I was going to have to go in, once a day and select to compound and, pay gas fees. That's definitely a big one.
And the core aspect of the product side is keeping everything as simplistic as possible. Really, once you buy, again, we'll have the educational aspect of how to take profits, but really having to be extremely simplistic that once you buy, that's really that.
Right, and that's what's attractive to me for it, because if I want to go spend the weekend at the racetrack, I can do that, and I'm not worried about, oh no, who's going to compound my nodes, that sort of thing. And then my next question was, you mentioned using the cell, possibly, tweaking the cell tax to, stabilize the token price. And one thing that I've watched Sphere do that I thought was pretty innovative was they actually have adjusted the percentage of the taxes that get burned to stabilize the token price. So they're using a kind of like a variable burn mechanism. And is that something that you guys would consider as well?
That is something that is highlighted. We don't exactly have that defined in our white paper. There's purposely some clarity that we left there because we don't want to define it a certain way, one or the other. But it is the side of we have our buckets that the distribution goes to, which we have defined there, but leaving that percentage delta to accommodate the protocol and what are the protocol needs. So we will have a dynamic range there as well as, again, seeing the volatility. If we're really inflation really high, let's burn more. If we need to build up our treasury because we're trying to do a big deal and do something really different, we have the backing to grow the treasury more. Again, always keeping the health of the protocol and our investors as our number ones, but having the dynamic range to do what we need to do to keep the protocol healthy.
Okay. Well, I look really forward to jumping in the pre-sale on the 15th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Great questions. Sammy, I hope you're ready. I'm going to call you up now.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So great conversation so far. My question really is, again, with respect to the dynamic tax, and I know we, just touched upon that, but I think that's one thing that's making me uncomfortable with this project. We've talked about Titano, Libero, and Sapphire. Personally, I put this project in the same bucket. I understand, when you spoke about your differentiating factor, but at the heart of it, for me personally, it's in the same bucket. The thing that's making me uncomfortable is when most of the other projects are stepping away from this whole dynamic tax thing. I see this new project with having this dynamic tax. I understand the reasoning that you gave. It's required at the start. I get it. But at some point, once you mature through that initial stage, are you guys open to taking that, the range away and having just one static buy and sell tax?
Absolutely. Again, that's of course the reason is, as I mentioned, is at pre-sale we have it for a certain reason. But we really do want, and we will, it's not what we do, we will. It will really at the core time, and I want to even say 95% of the time, it will be one number, and that's the number. In times of very high volatility, that 5%, it might change. But even when it's changing, we will always warn our investors, again, a minimum of 48 hours in advance, and making sure that it's seen everywhere. But then on the dynamic side, it's really only 5% dynamic, I would say. 95% of the time, it will be the exact same buy and sell.
But I'm sorry, I didn't hear, are you
are you still open to making it static, or are you saying we are going to use it less, maybe 5% of the time, but you still want to have that option?
We will remain that option on the contract side. It will not be static in the terms of it will always be this number no matter what, because my ideology there is there are certain times of chaos where there is a need of revamping up to potentially 28%, 30%. There are certain times where that's important. When we're launching new projects, and there's FOMO in here, is because everyone's very fixated on the sell aspect. On the buy aspect, it's very crazy there as well. There has to be protection mechanics there. So inherently, I don't want a static number that we are this no matter what with no exceptions. But what I'm saying is we will have it in the sense of 95% of the time at least, it will be the same number. It will not be changing all the time, nothing like that. It will be the same number. But on a contract side, we might make that scale less. We might not leave it at such a wide range. We'll slowly confine that more and more and more. But we will always have a bit of a range there just to really protect the protocol. But on the user side, I can assure you guys that 95% of the time, it will be the same number, if not more than that.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. That's all I had.
Thank you. That was a very important question.
I want to make a note to our listening audience. Daryl, a.k.a. Terror Zone, couldn't make it to voice, but he was in the text chat answering questions and interacting with people. So thank you so much. I guess we're going to wrap things up. There is a chance that another person will show up, but in the meantime, there's one last question I have for you guys. Rohit, if you could answer this last. I just want to hear from both of you because I expect different answers. But basically, before we invest in you, we'd like to know what you are invested in. Can you tell us about the last project in the DeFi space that you guys invested in and why?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that we've been, just to give you some context, that we've been through actually spectrum of projects in the DeFi space. So we've been in, some good ones and some of, the bad ones as well. And that has been part of our learning and understanding where we actually got inspired so that we wanted to kind of build mechanics, to be able to help prevent a lot of the rug pulls that we've been involved in as well. So, that's been, a large part of our inspiration and the premise of us building. In addition to that, it's also been, sort of the ecosystem, what Ursh has mentioned, it's to go beyond. Utility is a buzzword these days. What does that really mean? How do we make sure that there's actual, product behind and substance behind, not only from the short and mid-term, but also from the long term? We're putting ourselves out there, in public figures, and there's a reason for that. It's not just to kind of, build something and just kind of, that's it, and walk away. It's about, long-term aspects of it. We've invested in quite a few projects, in terms of nodes projects such as, Strongwalk. We've invested in that. We've been in bad projects such as Ring, as well. So, we've had, quite a bit learning. And along with that, there's many other projects, that we've been in. I just wanted to name that one and, good one, that we've been in. It's still going. And then there's, one that has been really a bad one. So, but there's many projects that we've kind of been involved in. Ursh, what do you think?
For my angle, and Rose kind of mentioned some of the core ones, it was the importance of let's try every single niche there is, every single product there is, and really see what stands out the most. What are we enjoying the most? And what is the most impactful? Because the one aspect is you got in extremely early. And because you got in such a low market cap, because it was so early that you just made an exponential increase, but just because you were early, not because the product was anything crazy, but the aspect of being an early investor. So for me, what stood out the most and what continues to stand out the most is protocols with a strong basis of a team. For instance, Sean Blotz, what Rose alluded to earlier, it's the value of the token might be down from 1,200 right now to a bit over 100, but it's the notion of that team, David Moss and all of them, is they continue to innovate, they continue to do things differently, and sort of course of action. You know that no matter what happens, they're a trusted team who will go out there and do what they can to make the best project possible. But I like believing in people and believing in ideologies. To me, it's tough to get behind something when you've had experiences like Rain, we both were in it, and things like that happen in the space. It happens all the time. Even Snow Dog happened quite some time ago. We've been around the block and seen so much as kind of going through every niche, seeing what we enjoyed the most, and taking that knowledge and applying that to our protocol here. What are all the aspects we enjoyed the most, and how can we take all those aspects, fine-tune it, innovate on it, and come out with our own project?
Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I think let's let Rahit and Arsh make some, I guess, closing statements and land this plane. And if there are any other last-minute audience questions, we will take them. And if not, go ahead and take us away, guys.
Yeah, great. No, I just want to emphasize, you guys for hosting us. I think these are really important ones, and also for the participants who actually ask questions. And I think it's really important to kind of ask questions. And the more questions that, come our way, the better that we can actually be able to be in a place where we can answer questions, not only for you, but I think a lot of our other community members as well that, don't have the ability or not available to kind of ask those questions. This will be recorded. So, certainly thank you for that. And in general, just for the audience that's there and listening to us. So, we really do appreciate, you guys for participating and spending your time, to be able to listen to us. At any point, we're available. We've got our Discord, there, and feel free to kind of reach out individually or as a group or whoever, any of our team members, anything you need, that we're here to kind of be available for you to be able to answer any of your questions. And the last call to action is that pre-sale. We have a pre-sale on April 15th that's lined up, and I think it's designed in such a way that is benefit, for the early adopters, especially that we've, incentivized it in such a way that and created that equilibrium that, we have, which benefits everyone. So again, it's going to be limited, and just in case we do sell out, that, we're still going to have opportunities for others during our launch as well. So again, thank you very much, everyone, and we hope to continue to have dialogue with you at, first, second, or third degree at any point.
Awesome. Thank you. Arsh?
Again, I appreciate all of you guys taking the time and asking all the questions you did. I really appreciated the style of your AMA, as well as your audience. I really think they asked some great questions that really matter to us. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it. We hope to have many more of these.
Awesome. I was completely honored when you guys said you were interested in doing an AMA, with me and my team. And so thank you guys very much. This was an awesome experience. And thank you to the audience, too, and everybody else who participated in the chat. If there's nothing else, I think that we will go ahead and wrap this up. Amazing. Thank everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.